Okay. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. It's 7:05 and we will start. I started the recording because I didn't want 1 second of what you were playing not to be recorded. I would like to welcome you individually as I always do, but I feel that I don't want to waste Jack's time at this point. I know Tara is here. She usually starts with a prayer. I don't know what to do tonight, but Jack, would you like me to introduce you and Tara start with a prayer?
That would be lovely. Let's have Tara start with a prayer first. That's beautiful before you say anything.
Sure,
Sure.
sure. Tara John, would you like to start with a prayer, please?
Allah and happy Nowruz, and especially to our dear Jack and everyone, Firuzjan. I'll start, I'll chant a very short uh, hidden word, number 3. به نام گوینده توانا، ای دوست در روضه قلب جز گل عشق مکار و از ذیل بلبل و شوق دست مدار. مصاحبت ابرار را غنیمت دان و از مرافقت اشرار دست و دل هر دو بردار. مصاحبت ابرار را غنیمت دان و از مرافقت اشرار دست و دل هر دو بردار.
Thank you, Tara John. Appreciate it very much. Dear friends, tonight is a very, very special evening. It is Nowruz, which is a New Year's, but most of all, it is a gathering of the friends and almost the family for a very beautiful evening of celebrating spring with Jack. And I need to introduce Jack to you, although I know you all know him, but it was very interesting. I went on my Facebook today and I saw a beautiful, beautiful comment by Dr. Valerie Dawn. So why don't I start with that? And then I will read the 3 lines that Jack sent for me. Dr. Valerie Dawn wrote, Jack is a treasure and a gem whose many facets reflect his inner light that he shares with the world. And I could have not said anything better than that. Jack, we love you, and we want you to know that every single one of us who are here, you have created a history for us in the past 40 years. And you are a part of our identity. We want you to know that. Tonight, friends, we have the spiritual spring, the rebirth of hope. This is a topic that Jack offered. And also by way of a bio, this is the shortest bio I have ever received from a speaker who must have sent me 10 pages. But I mean, we know Jack, so what can we say? Jack is a Baha'i composer who has written songs, films, and TV scores for films and TV series. And it is dedicated to bringing hope to his fellow human beings through music and film. He has 7 children and lives in Toronto. I want to add a few more things to that, Jack, without your permission. First of all, when we moved to Canada a long time ago, Jack was the speaker of our first fireside on a small apartment in North York, Ontario. I don't know if Jack, you remember that or not, but I remember it quite well. And I was just new to this country. I asked for a great speaker, a good speaker, and they said you couldn't find anyone better than Jack. And I think when I contacted him, I was under the impression that he would say, no, I'm very busy. I mean, life is busy. I have children. And he immediately said, yes. Jack, you are a jewel. What can we say? We love you and we appreciate everything that you have done for the Canadian and the world Baha'i community. Happy Nowruz to you.
Thank you so much, Farouz. I always appreciate Farouz because I've had the chance to travel to many countries in the world through music and with different artists. And everywhere that I would go, no matter which artist I was playing with, the Iranian Baha'is would always show up at the hall, and they'd always have flowers, and they'd always give flowers to the artists. And in some states, some places, there wasn't even room for them at the concert, so we would sit them at the back of the stage in a circle. And I would always tell people, they would say, well, the artists I work with were not necessarily, they didn't even know about the Baha'i faith, some of them, and they would say, who are these people? And I would say, well, they're Baha'is from Iran, but they've moved to all these countries all over the world, whether it's Sweden or Chile or, just everywhere. And I said, and they're the most hospitable and kind and generous people. And And I would say, and they're very happy people that you'll see when they come to the concerts. And just every time the Iranian Baha'is that came to these concerts everywhere in the world were just the sweetest, most wonderful people, and I just so appreciate them, and I appreciate what so many of them have done to come to countries, to have to leave their home, to have to learn a language, to have to find work, to have to adjust to new cultures, and Fruz is one of the great examples of that. So I really appreciate her kind introduction, and I guess what I'd like to say is that I'm going to do a few songs and try not to talk too much, but I do want to say something about Nowruz. You know it's an ancient Persian festival as well, and but it's remarkable that the Baha'i year starts on the first day of spring. And I've always felt that that was a wonderful idea, and I hope the world will see that as a wonderful idea, but especially because spring represents the concept of rebirth. It represents the concept of hope, of things being renewed. And really at the core, the very core of Baha'u'llah's teachings, the founder of the Baha'i faith, is this idea that the world has been recreated. He says every atom has been recreated in the world. And that's why in the 19th century we saw such an explosion of science, explosion of knowledge, because of this revelation that came from a prison. First the Siachal in Tehran, then he was sent in exile and ended up in Palestine, in a prison called at the fortress of Akka, and lived in that vicinity as a prisoner until he died. He was a prisoner of both the Shah of Iran and the Sultan Abdul Aziz of the Ottoman Empire. And under these two powerful leaders at the time, they tried to banish him away from his home country and then away from Baghdad, where they first exiled him, because they didn't want they thought he was a threat to them because of his very universal and very open message about the future of humanity. And the future of humanity, he said, would be characterized by a feminine ideal, by greater tenderness, greater compassion, greater intuition, these feminine qualities which the world is missing. So not only did he say that this would come about, but he said this was in fact our maturity. And he used this particular expression, which I just love, because of its association with spring. He said the divine springtime has come, not just springtime. On the 20th or the 21st of March, whenever the vernal equinox is, but symbolically that the world was going to experience a complete rebirth and recreation, and come to maturity, come to these qualities that every prophet of God has taught: kindness, love, mercy, generosity, justice, many qualities that even our Baha'i months of the year, and I'll sing a little song for you about them, but even our Baha'i months are named after these wonderful qualities or attributes of God. There are 19 of them. There's I'll sing them for you later, but the idea is this first month is the month of Baha, which is the month of glory, or the month of light. So Baha'is are followers of light, and Baha'u'llah said that there would be a complete reconstruction of the world, a complete demilitarization of the world, a complete new society based on spiritual values and principles. And it's really quite extraordinary when you think about it, that here we are in a gathering like this, and we have Canadians of many origins. We have our wonderful Persian and Iranian friends. We have this wonderful chanting from Tara that is just, I feel inadequate even trying to sing after that. But I really love that culture, and I love how connected it is to feeling something that maybe not many of us growing up in a kind of materialistic culture got to feel, and that's a closeness to the very spirit, to the God that created us. Because they were lucky enough to have, although it didn't happen until the 9th century, but they were lucky to have Islam as a huge influence. Now, you could say that that's not necessarily a wonderful influence now, because it's not Islam anymore, as you can see. But the idea that every surah in the Quran said Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which means God is the merciful, the compassionate. God is the merciful, compassionate. These two qualities of mercy and compassion, he says, are the actual language of the Spirit. They're not just something that we think, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we were kind? Wouldn't it be nice if we showed the qualities of mercy? And everything associated with that, courtesy, empathy, all the names that we have for these qualities which are rare in our world, right? We're seeing, in fact, the opposite. We're seeing human savagery again at a level that maybe we haven't seen since the Second World War. We're seeing these conflicts globally that are taking so many lives and so many innocent lives. And Baha'u'llah says that what we're experiencing right now is what he calls a purgation, where the humanity is being purged of its old concepts, whether it's materialism, whether it's nationalism, whether it's communism, whether it's racism, whether it's religious prejudice. He says the world is now being purified from all those things which are holding it back from its great promise, from its great hope for a wonderful civilization that he says will endure. He says this civilization that he is going to create through his teachings will last for 5,000 centuries. And that this is the last stage in the social evolution of humanity, so that we will become this glorious new race of humans who have these spiritual qualities at their heart, who value them with their whole life. That we recognize, he says, that God has created every soul, and every soul is immortal. Every soul will transcend death. And these qualities, you see, he says, we need to have these qualities in order to not just to make this world better, but in fact to prepare the soul for the journey that it goes on through all the worlds of God. These are the eyes and the ears and the limbs, these qualities. And someone once said to me, if there's a currency in the next world, and this is not in the Baha'i writings, but it's a wonderful idea as well. The currency of the next world, of the worlds of God, that he says will eventually be the way that we live here, is kindness. The currency of that world is kindness. So Christ said this very interesting thing. He said in the Lord's Prayer, he says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So in this higher order that we call heaven, which are just worlds beyond which we can't experience, we don't understand them, we don't know them yet. We know them when we die. He says those worlds have joy, those worlds have order, those worlds have perfection. But this world is like, my dad used to say, it's like boot camp. It's the tough part where you have to learn these qualities. You have to struggle and suffer and go through difficult things, but you also can have joy, right? And the great joy comes from hope, and hope comes from spirit. It built into this idea of this connection that we have with God through the Holy Spirit, through these messengers of God, is the idea that there's hope for the human race, there's hope for the human soul, there's hope for a better world. And so I wrote this song, and I wrote it because my daughter went for several years, 17 years, to a school for severely disabled children. And about 2 years before she graduated, Tina, her teacher, said, every year we do a song for Christmas, but we want to do something different. We want a song about Nowruz. And I said, wow, you want a song about Nowruz? She was talking about the Persian festival, not the Baha'i New Year, right? So I said, well, if we'll do it about Nowruz and the Baha'i New Year, I'll write a song and record it. So this is called. I haven't sung it since we did that show, that video about these wonderful teachers, these angels that look after our vulnerable angels. But if you can hear me, okay. Can you hear the piano, okay?
Yeah, some of us said that they can't see you because of the light from the window. And a friend said, this is the light of God shining on Jack. So we believe in that, but I just need to make everyone happy. Do you understand my predicament?
Yeah. So I think the sun will go down shortly.
We're happy. We're happy. We're very happy.
Okay. Well, it will get better. It's just that in the studio downstairs, I don't have curtains. I just have windows. So I'll try to make up for it. Here we go. It's so this is called it's springtime now, and then it's also, the song also is called It's Nowruz Now. The chorus goes like this. I'll just sing the chorus for you, because you can sing along. It goes, when the world feels new, it's springtime, it's springtime. When the world feels joy, it's springtime in our hearts, it's Nowruz now. That's the chorus. So it goes like this. When the world feels new, it's springtime, it's springtime. When the world feels joy, it's springtime in our hearts, it's Nowruz now. And now the winter's come and gone, spring bells ring, the angels sing our happy song. Angels sing, the flowers bloom as life awakes. We're dancing in our hearts today. And the chorus. When the world feels new, it's springtime, it's springtime. When the world feels joy, it's springtime in our hearts, it's Nowruz now. And then the second verse is kind of about our special kids, the 65 children that go to this school who are very much like our daughter, and this verse is for them. And here we are before your grace, angels sing to see our God in every face. Spring bells ring, they come with all this love and joy, our special girls and special boys. And the chorus. And the world sees love. It's springtime, it's springtime. When the world feels joy, it's springtime in our hearts, it's Nowruz now. On the night that you were born, the moon smiled with such wonder, and then the stars peeked in on you, and the night wind whispered to you, things will never be the same. God has when the world feels new. It's springtime, it's springtime, when the world feels joy. It's springtime in our hearts, it's Nowruz now. And when the world feels love, it's springtime, it's springtime, when the world feels joy. It's springtime in our hearts, it's Nowruz now. So I know that that the whole idea of being hopeful is not always very popular. Um, um, of my 7 kids, I think the youngest ones, who are 22 and 25, we often have this discussion about they think that maybe you won't have kids because they don't feel like that's a very nice world to bring children into. And I said, yes, but why? Why can't you follow my example and have 7 children, right? So they just roll their eyes, of course, when I say that. But the idea is, and this is a really interesting idea. There was an activist named Howard Zinn, and he was very much involved in education about social impact and how people could change the world. And he had one simple kind of idea that everything was based on for him. He believed, as an activist, that humanity, everybody, was good or had the potential to be good, right? And he said that it was that belief, and that every time he did something positive or accomplished something positive, he knew it was because he had this fundamental belief in the goodness of human beings and the goodness of humanity. And there's a line in the song that I really really love, and it was meant about our our kind of a very vulnerable population, our kids that are disabled, and people who are disabled. But there's a line where it says, "And here we are before your grace, before God's grace. Here we all are," right? And then it's the second line is, "To see our God in every face." And there's a great story about Abdu'l-Baha, who was the son of Baha'u'llah. And people would say to him, well, you've had so many people who persecuted you. You were put in prison, you were chained for years and years and years. He was in prison and in exile for 57 years, right? And finally freed in 1909 by the revolution of the Young Turks, which freed all political prisoners and prisoners of conscience. And they would say, well, you met so many of these people who even, who were even part of the people who imprisoned you, and all the guards and all the people that did pretty terrible things to him and his family. And they said, how do you see the good in humanity? And he had this line, which I'll never forget. He said, it's because when I look in their face, I see my Father's face. In other words, I see the face of beauty. I see the face of love. I see the face of hope in every face. And it's hard to do when you live in difficult times. There's no question. It's hard to do. But I really believe at the core of our ability to experience joy in this world is based on hope. So one of the great principles of Baha'u'llah is that not only is he hopeful about the unity of the human race, but he says it's inevitable. He says we are going to be unified as a human race. We are going to be unified, and we are therefore going to bring about peace in the world. So this was kind of a fun song that I think Doug Cameron and I wrote years ago, and it's called Unity House, and you can sing along. It goes like this. Bum, 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 bum. Unity House. The day is long. We're singing this song in the Unity House. Yes, and bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. So come into my Unity House. The rain falls down. The wind is so strong, but it's warm inside. Come into my Unity House. The day is long. We're singing this song in the Unity House. Yes. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. So here comes one coming on the run, and here comes two coming after you, and three is me out on the deep blue sea. And number four is knocking at the door. So come into our Unity House. The rain falls down. The wind is so strong, but it's warm inside. Come into my Unity House. The day is long. We're singing this song in the Unity House. Last time. Bum 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 bum. I haven't sung that one for a while either, but I know that I know that it's a favorite with our Baha'i friends in the Caribbean, and the fact that two white Canadians wrote it is even funnier. I wanted to do a song right after that called Song of the Months. Since we're doing songs about lists, I wrote these songs for my children when I was first realized that the only way I could learn sort of the sequence of things, like the Song of the Months, like the Song of the Prophets, the only way I could learn that was if I put them to music. So I really, you'll have to forgive my pronunciation of the Persian Arabic words. I've had some coaching, but I just don't quite get it. But I hope you'll sing along. One of the great things about our calendar is, as I mentioned, these qualities that are attributes of God that the months are named after. And I'll just tell you what they are in English, and then you'll hear the names in I think it's Arabic actually, but you can anybody can correct me there. But splendor or glory, or splendor, Baha. There's glory and beauty, the months of grandeur, light, and mercy. Words is its own month, which I love. Perfection and names. Might, the might of God. Will, the capacity of will in human beings. Knowledge. Power, amount of power, which is, when you think about it, the power of God, the power of the soul to accomplish things. Speech, human speech, he says, is an attribute. Questions, to question things, to look deeply into things, to search for truth. Honor is another one. And then the last three are I really like partly because they're so easy to sing together, is sovereignty, which is the sovereignty of God, dominion, which is the dominion of God, and loftiness. Right? So it goes like this. Baha Jalal Jamal Azamat Nuramat Kalimat Kamal Asma Izat Marshiat Kudrat Kamasai Sharaf Sultan Bulgalam. And now in English. Splendor, glory, and beauty, grandeur, light, and mercy, words, perfection, and names, might and will and knowledge, power, speech, questions, and honor, sovereignty, dominion, and loftiness, sovereignty, dominion, and loftiness. These are the names of the months. These are the names of the months. Okay, so maybe we'll try and see how we're doing in terms of the Persian Arabic ones. Baha Jalal Jamal Azamat Nuramat Kalimat Kamal Asma Izat Mashiat Udrat Masai Sharaf Sultan Mulkalam. Splendor, glory, and beauty, grandeur, light, and mercy, words, perfection, and names, might and will and knowledge, power, speech, questions, and honor, sovereignty, dominion, and loftiness, sovereignty, dominion, and loftiness. These are the names of the months. These are the names of the months. You know, it's always been interesting to me when I first heard about this idea of 19 months, 19 days, 361 days, and then the days left over are called intercalary days. It's kind of a blend between the lunar and the solar calendars. And I did a project through COVID called the Baha'i Feasts and Holy Days Songbook. And I wrote a song for each month. And I won't bore you with that now, I promise. But I also wrote a song for each holy day. And I recorded it with a wonderful choir here in Toronto called Countermeasure. And it was really a lot of fun to do it. And with great singers and wonderful arrangements that another Saskatchewanite, Aaron Jensen, did the arrangements. It's really was so amazing to be able to do that and figure out what might be a musical way of expressing this Baha'i calendar. It's also called the Baha'i calendar, and Baha'i is a word in Persian that means wonderful. So. Again, it's part of the expression of hope of Baha'u'llah, because he says that all of these things which we sort of take for granted, like different calendars that people have all over the world, will be united into one calendar that's based on these attributes of God, and that these attributes are things then that we're reminded about, or these qualities that we're reminded about them through the very names of the days and the months. They're also separate names for the days. And so I find that very, like the fact that in the future we'll live by and measure time by spiritual attributes and qualities. So the next song I wanted to do is a prayer for children. And one of the reasons that I thought about this prayer, it was one of the first prayers I set to music, but also it was a prayer that was about the idea of guidance. The actual prayer says, "O God, guide me, protect me, illumine the lamp of my heart, and make me a brilliant star. Thou art the mighty and powerful." And I always wondered what he meant by "make me a brilliant star." He's probably not talking about Taylor Swift or Beyonce. He's really talking about how a human being can become a brilliant star. Well, what does the star symbolize? The star symbolizes guidance, right? The stars were always used in the past to guide people in their travels. They'd be able to look at the North Star and use it as a sign of guidance for the direction they were going, right? But in this prayer, Baha'u'llah is basically saying, this is a prayer about illumining the lamp of your heart and becoming a source of guidance, not just for your own heart, but for the lives of others, right? So it's a children's prayer, but I love this idea of this prayer. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and I think it comes because I think I've been thinking about this a lot, because as you get older, you can't help but thinking that you have to. I guess the idea is you get very contemplative. I think most of us do about death, right? And one of the things I loved about the Barbie movie, which I don't know if many of you have seen, but my daughter wanted me to see it, and I love when Barbie kind of has this contemplative moment, and she said she was having irrepressible thoughts of death, right? And so I wanted to address it because I think that in relationship to our life in the physical world, we have most of us anyway have years to try to develop these qualities that I was talking about, but we don't really know where we're going, and this concept of faith is really about hope for a life that transcends death. and it's always been interesting to me. And Kevin Locke told me this story. He said, you know, we don't in our Lakota language, we don't have a word for death. We have a word called going home, right? And I love that idea, because in a sense, the soul that Baha'u'llah talks about it is quite remarkable, and it he says it's an invisible single element that is indivisible. That's as close as we can come. But he actually, there's a quote where he says, "You've asked me about the nature of the soul. Know verily that the soul is a sign from God, a heavenly gem whose reality the most learned of men hath failed to grasp, and whose mystery no mind, however acute, can ever hope to unravel." He said it is the first among all created things. This is the soul of a human being. Is the first among all created things to declare the excellence of its creator. I love that. I love the idea that the soul, it's the first of everything that was created to declare the excellence of what created it, right? Of its creator. He says the first to recognize its glory, right? The glory of that creator. He says to cleave to his truth, which is interesting. So the soul is capable of cleaving to the truth that God is. And then he says, and to bow down in adoration before him. And adoration was a big word that I learned as a kid, even in the United Church in Eston, Saskatchewan. I remember songs about adoring God, right? And there was a great song called "How Great Thou Art," right? That I loved as a child, hearing it in church. But this concept of the soul having been created by a creator, and then given all of these latent qualities that it can develop, so that when it returns to its creator, it can demonstrate these qualities. It can be pleasing to its creator. It can declare the excellence of its creator. It can it can cleave to his truth. It can recognize the glory of God. It can bow down in adoration before him. And so I wrote this song about. It's called "Another Journey," and I think I've got the lyric here somewhere, and it's pretty. It's not really a sing-along song, but it goes like this. Beyond marrow and bone, beyond fire and stone, beyond this world there lies another journey. Beyond changes and chance, beyond stillness and dance, beyond this life there turns another turn. Let us wander at every moment. Mystery calls us to open our eyes. Calling the angels, I'm calling them always. Angels of snow and angels of fire. Beyond sunrise and set, beyond every regret, beyond this, beyond Beyond this rise there lies a new horizon. Beyond woman and man, beyond passion and plan, beyond this house there lies another mansion. Light, let us wander at every moment. Mystery calls us to open our eyes. Calling the angels, I'm calling them always. Angels of snow, and angels of fire. Captives in the hand of the Lord of the ages, stronger than the grip of our history's pages. Who weeps on a spring day? Who stands in lover's way? No one stops the soul from its never-ending journey. Beyond marrow and bone, beyond fire and stone, beyond this world there lies another journey. Beyond changes and chance, beyond stillness and dance, beyond this house there lies another mansion. Beyond this life and this world we journey, we journey. Beyond this life and this world we journey, we journey. Beyond this life and this world we journey, we journey. So I know that's not exactly a bright up-tempo spring song, but I really love this idea that we are captives in the hand of the Lord of the ages. In other words, every soul is moving towards God. Every soul is on its journey to God in all the different ways that human beings do that. But we are stronger than the grip of our history's pages. Everybody, I hear this so often that people say, oh, you know, human beings will never change. There's always been war, there's always been chaos, there's always been human savagery. But the Baha'i teachings maintain that we are stronger than the grip of our history's pages. And then this was my reference to spring. It says, who stands in the lover's way? Who weeps on a spring day? No one stops the soul on its never-ending journey. So I'm not trying to work hope into all these things, but it is amazing how in art and in beauty and in every endeavor by human beings to express the invisible, to express the things that maybe we can't see, but maybe we feel, that that art and beauty and these things that human beings can create attract the soul towards its creator. I'll I'll leave that subject here. I have a song which is was inspired by Tina Turner, and I really I love playing this song, and it's again in the theme of hope. It's called "Love Is Coming to the Beautiful World," and I wrote this many years ago, and it's kind of a bit of a gospel song, but it's a narrative song. Love is coming to the world. Love is coming to the world. Love is coming to the world. Want to tell you about a story from long ago, about a mother who sent her children out to sow the seeds of love and justice, plant them row by row, and trust us to be the gardeners of this beautiful world. The soil was hard, the children worked it night and day. Some lost hope and some they went their separate ways. A house divided on a rocky shore could turn to sand and be no more. There'd be no gardeners for this beautiful world. But I can see that love is coming. And I can see that love is coming, yes. And I can see that love is coming to the beautiful world. Now the children, they must find a way, find a kindness, find a vision for a brighter day. So I'm asking Father to help us bring a world of love and justice, and be the gardeners of this beautiful world. I can see that love is coming. And I can see that love is coming, yes. And I can see that love is coming to the beautiful world. Oh, how he loves to see the world come shining. Oh, how he loves the good in every soul, yes. And oh, how he loves to see the world come shining with love, love, love. Want to tell you about a story from long ago, about a father who sent his children out to sow the seeds of love and justice, plant them row by row, and trust us to be the gardeners of this beautiful world. And I can see that love is coming. And I can see that love is coming, yes. And I can see that love is coming to the beautiful world. To the beautiful world. Love is coming to the world. Love is coming to the world. Love is coming to the world, to the beautiful world. Firuz, do I have a little bit more time or am I going over my time?
Never ever you go over your time. You have 3 more hours to go.
Well, I think everyone will leave. Uh, but I wanted to do um, a song that I actually wrote about Baha'u'llah. And it's based on a poem by Rumi that's called "Come Back to Me." And Rumi in this poem talks about, you know, no matter if you've broken your vow 1,000 times, he says, come back to me. Even if you've forgotten to pray a single line, come back to me. And part of what I really believe will instill a sense of the future in us is this idea that we all as a human race are on a journey towards our Creator. And if we were able to live according to these ideas, to these teachings that all the prophets have given, what did they basically say? You know, Christ said it this way, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? And we consider that the golden rule of life and the golden rule of Christianity. And every religion had an expression. Every religion that has come to the world has had this beautiful expression. Baha'u'llah says, make each morrow better than its eve, right? He says, prefer your brother and sister to yourself. All of these ways in which human beings learn to be, through these ideas, to be of service to one another, to consider the feelings of others, to have empathy. I don't know if you've read Emily Dickinson, the American poetess, but she has a great line in one of her poems. She says, leaners to lifters, 20 to 1. That was her analysis of the world that she saw around her. And it was a comment about maybe how many people actually develop the quality of empathy. But in fact, what Baha'u'llah says about the human soul is that every human being has the capacity of empathy. Every human being has the capacity to feel for others. And Abdul Baha, the son of Baha'u'llah, said a very interesting thing. He said, if you see others, he says, and you see them as the creations of God, he says, you will never become angry or impatient with them. I'm not sure I've done so well at that, but it's a good standard. And it's a standard that if we live that way, if we know that this journey is an eternal journey and that we have time, little by little, to gain these qualities and perfections. And so I wrote this song based on that poem called "Come Back to Me," it makes a reference to the prison that Baha'u'llah was in, because he spent 40 years in exile and prison, and most of it in Akka in Palestine at the time. And he said that the only real prison, he said, is the prison of self. So he says we can escape from the prison of self through prayer, through saying prayers, through reading the writings of all faiths, through fasting. The Baha'i community has just come through 19 days of fasting at the same time as Ramadan this year, or overlapping with Ramadan. The Christians have Lent, which was a period of fasting initially. The Jewish people fast on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. So it's been a practice throughout history. So fasting, he says, is another way that we develop the soul. But he says a really interesting thing. He says the fourth way is through service to others. That, he says, even work is, he says, any work that you do in service to others is elevated to worship, to being a way of expressing the Holy Spirit or the Spirit of life to others. So it's really in that spirit that I wrote this song, and I'll just I'll do it on this piano. It's the kind of light you only see in prison. A dusty light that fades against his face. He looks at you with tenderness. His eyes a loving hold on your heart. And he says, come back. Come back to me. Yes, he says, come back, come back, come back to me. They're the kind of tears you only shed in heaven. Salty tears to join his mighty sea. You look at him with wonderment. Who has ever seen one like this? And he says, come back, come back, come back to me. Yes, he says, come back. Even if you've broken your vow 1,000 times, even if you've forgotten to pray a single line, love will always be there when you turn your face. All in all, you'll be there. So come, come. To this timeless, placeless face. To this timeless, placeless face. It's the kind of light you only see in prison. A dusty light that fades against his face. He looks at you with tenderness. His eyes a loving hold on your heart. And he says, come back, come back, come back to me. Yes, he says, come back, come back, come back, come back to me. I think I probably said too much, but I really appreciate being able to do this on this special day. I appreciate being able to do it for our friend Ferouz. And I just wanted to mention the names of 10 women who've really inspired me over the years. And and again, I'm probably not saying their names properly, but I want to say their names and dedicate this Nowruz to them. They were executed by the Iranian regime under direct orders of Khomeini in 1983 on June 18th. And their names were Shirin Dalvan, Zarin Mogimi, Roya Eshraghi, Mona Mahmoud Nishad, Mashid Niraman, Akhtar Sabet, Simin Sabri, Nosrat Yaldei, Tahira Sevushi, and Mrs. Roya's mother, Roya Eshraghi's mother, Izzat Eshraghi. When I first heard this story, I really felt like how could this happen to these brilliant women who were mothers, daughters, grandmothers, who were brilliant, educated, loved their country. And but they really they've inspired a number of songs. They inspired a song by Doug Cameron called "Mona with the Children," a song by Jim Seals and Dash Croft called "Traces." There was a whole campaign this last year to honor those 10 women called "Our Story Is One," and many people wrote songs. I wrote a song called "Our Story Is One." Luke Slott, a number of songwriters wrote beautiful songs about these women. And the reason I mention them, even though we're talking about spring and hope, is that in fact, I believe that they continue through their sacrifice to inspire millions of women around the world to fulfill their potential. Because they were not just, they didn't just make a sacrifice for the Baha'i faith. They were given a choice. They could either become Muslims or die. And that was their choice, and they chose, they said, not to lie to. They already felt like they were Muslims, but they were Baha'is, and that was important to them and to their beliefs and to their families. But it's so interesting that contained in that story, although it seems like such a contrast, but contained in that story is the most powerful hope that I've ever felt in my life, and spirit of hope for the future. So I wrote this song and in their honor, and it's called "The Greatest Moments Are Still to Come," and it's really about the future of the human race. But it's also about the potential of every individual. And I better just look and make sure I've got the lyrics, because I haven't sung it for a while. But the amazing thing about this song is it became the theme for the 1996 Olympics, and they played the song every night at the Olympics, not the stadium, but on the Olympic stage in the park in Atlanta. And I had the pleasure of recording it with so many different artists over the years, and it's been used for graduation songs. It's been used for all kinds of things, but it's I originally wrote it for a Kodak commercial, which is funny because Kodak had the greatest moments, and now Kodak I think has just disappeared because we have iPhones and phones with cameras. But I love the message of the song, and maybe you've heard it. Listen, people, I'll tell you something. The world is moving to a world of one. The world of friendship, new The greatest moments, yes, the greatest moments are still to come. We could see what just one could imagine. Imagine for a moment what could be done. A moment of insight, of inspiration. The greatest moments, the greatest moments, the greatest moments are still to come. And now is a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now is a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you, children, I tell you something, some people. I tell you something, my human family. I tell you something, the greatest moments are still to come. Believe in your best, do your best to believe. A moment of truth, a moment for one man, one woman, one child, one planet. The greatest moments, the greatest moments, yes, the greatest moments are still to come. Now is a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now is a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you, children, I tell you something, some people. I tell you something, my human family. I tell you something, the greatest moments are still to come. We will be one human family. We will be one family. We will be one. Sorry. We will be forever together. We will see a new world coming. Our star is rising, and our star is shining. We will be one family, yes. We will be one family, one family, and we will be one family, yes. And we will be one family, one family. Last verse, same as the first. If we could see what just one could imagine, imagine for a moment what could be done. A moment of insight, of inspiration, the greatest moments, the greatest moments, yes, the greatest moments are still to come. Now is a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now is a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you, children, I tell you something, some people. I tell you something, my human family. I tell you something, the greatest moments are still to come. 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 Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I wish I could see you better, but my eyes are getting a little bit foggy in my 70s. But it's so nice to see your faces, and I'm so appreciative of having a chance to see you, especially on this really wonderful sacred day.
I don't know how to thank you, Jack. I can't find words. Maybe I should have asked Dr. Valerie Dawn to, to thank you, since she wrote such a beautiful remark on the Facebook. But you always know that that you're not a guest here. You're just a close friend. We love you. We thank you. We are extremely proud of you. There are so many different things which are written all in chat, and it's just beautiful. I would like to welcome the friends from Malaysia, from India, from Australia. People are writing all these love letters for you. Thank you, Jack. I really appreciate it.
Well, only on this day would we have such a blessing to have friends from all over the world, and it means a great deal to all of us to have our friends here from other countries. Canadians are I always say that there's a verse in the Bible about us, and it says many are cold, but few are frozen. And it's one of those things that my mother used to say in Saskatchewan, where it was very cold in the winter. But I'm hoping that our friends around the world are getting to enjoy a beautiful spring day. We have snow in Toronto, so it's not necessarily a beautiful spring day, but we know it's coming, right? And,
Yes.
Thank you so much, Farouz, for having me here, and it's really an honor. Thank you.
May I just read one message? There are so many. This is the last one from Wanda. Thanks for sharing your talent, joy, and love, Jack. It was just the shot of optimism, hope I needed. Allahu Akbar.
Your tears are so precious.
We are going to give you an opportunity to ask Dave questions as long as her earplugs hold up. But
Friends, if you want to talk to Jack, maybe we can all mute. And if you want to unmute one by one, I will stop recording.